Hello and welcome to the Lunchtime Crew's first edition of Quirk Analysis 101. This is a new series where we will attempt to explain every quirk in the world of My Hero Academia. We will be discussing how they work, their uses, their weaknesses, and their potential. So, without further ado, I believe it's time to kick off this episode. And what better way to start than with one of the most important quirks in all of the series, One for All. The quirk One for All first appeared in Chapter 1 of the My Hero Academia manga and Episode 1 of the anime, although its name wasn't revealed until Episode 2. The name One for All comes from the quirk's unique ability to be transferred from one person to another, One for All being short for one quirk for all people. One for All is an emitter type quirk that stockpiles energy, granting its user super strength, endurance, speed, and stamina. As the quirk is passed on, the overall stockpile energy increases, meaning the more times the quirk is transferred, the stronger it gets. The stockpile energy lays dormant in the user's body until you wish to use its power, meaning until you activate the quirk, you're just an ordinary human. This activation is actually a weakness, as seen during Midoriya's first training session with Gran Torino, where Gran Torino quickly hits Midoriya before he can activate the quirk, preventing Midoriya from being able to defend himself. To transfer One for All, the user must willingly allow someone to ingest their DNA, like when Midoriya eats a piece of All Might's hair. The quirk will only transfer if the current wielder allows it, meaning that One for All cannot be stolen, although it has been suggested that the quirk can be forcibly given. The transferring One for All is more like the passing of a torch rather than the handing off of a baton. The initial wielder can still use the quirk after passing it on, but they're using the quirk's last remaining embers and eventually its flame will die out, leaving them unable to access the quirk's abilities. While the initial user's flame dies out, the new user will have to go through a hazing period to get used to the massive amount of energy now surging through their body. You see, one of One for All's biggest weaknesses is that the user must be in peak physical condition to use the quirk, as it causes an unnatural strain on the wielder's body, meaning you can't just get the quirk and suddenly become a superhero. Midoriya went through 10 months of serious intensive training and got stronger than anyone expected before receiving the quirk. And yet, even with all of this, when he first tried activating One for All, it left his body shattered and unable to move. After Midoriya used the quirk too much, his body began to give way, leaving him with massive scars, and he was warned if he used it again, he could potentially lose the function of his arms permanently. So unless you're a massive gym buff or a masochist, then I wouldn't suggest asking the Wish Genie for this superpower. Now, I said One for All has the unique ability to be passed on. The reason it has this ability is because One for All isn't an ordinary quirk. It is actually the combination of two separate quirks. A man with the ability to steal and give quirks forcibly gave his seemingly quirkless little brother a quirk that allowed him to stockpile power within his body. However, unknown to either of them, the little brother already had a quirk that could be transferred to others. The little brother's quirk and the quirk given to him by his older brother merged into one and became One for All. It's unclear how powerful One for All is at the moment, as although its current and 9th user Midoriya is theoretically the most powerful wielder, his body is still unable to handle 100% of its power, so it's hard to tell how strong he will be. The best use of its power would actually be All Might, One for All's 8th wielder and the world's #1 hero. We see All Might use One for All in a variety of different ways, however, most of the time it's just a different variation of a straightforward punch. Examples of this would be Texas Smash, in which All Might punches with enough force to blast a huge burst of air at his opponent, or the Detroit Smash, which is similar to Texas Smash, except it punches in a downward motion. This punch is actually powerful enough to change the weather, as seen when All Might saves Midoriya and Bakugo. Some of his other special moves include New Hampshire Smash, in which All Might propels himself towards his opponent in order to crush them, and Nebraska Smash, where All Might rotates his arm while throwing a punch to create a tornado. As you can guess, All Might is clearly a creative genius when coming up with names for his super moves, with all of them being places in America, followed by the word Smash. However, the most powerful move we've ever seen All Might use that also gives us a glimpse into the full power of One for All is called United States of Smash. All Might uses his last remaining remnants of One for All in a single punch that not only creates a tornado big enough to rip apart a city block, but it causes enough force to create a literal earthquake. So while Midoriya should be able to perform a feat more powerful than the United States of Smash, currently he's unable to throw a single 100% power punch without severely damaging his arm. This has led Midoriya to using One for All's energy in a much different way than All Might did. Initially, Midoriya used a move he called Delaware Smash, in which he focused all of his power into a single finger and then flicked said finger, creating a shockwave. This move did fracture his finger, but left the rest of his body intact. However, he could only use it 10 times, once per finger, before risking grave injury. After training with Gran Torino, Midoriya realized that instead of focusing all of his power into a single limb, he could focus a continuous 5% of One for All throughout his entire body, giving him enhanced speed, agility, and strength, without any of the repercussions. Midoriya named this new technique One for All Full Cowling, and over time he managed to increase his full body limit to 8%. While using full cowling, Midoriya is able to use a 5% Detroit Smash by leaping at his opponent while punching in a downward motion. Over time, Midoriya realized that All Might's style of fighting doesn't suit him and that it is actually causing him too much harm. As a result, Midoriya comes up with a new style, focused more on kicks and quick movements rather than straightforward punches. He calls this new form of fighting One for All Full Cowling Shoot Style. When using Shoot Style, Midoriya puts more energy into his legs and torso rather than his arms in order to keep them from being damaged any further. Naturally, a person's leg muscles are more powerful than their arm muscles, so Midoriya is able to withstand more power of One for All flowing through them. Although, the most powerful move we've ever seen Midoriya use is the 1,000,000% Delaware Detroit Smash. When facing off against Muscular in what seemed to be Midoriya's dying moments, he activated 100% of One for All while on a massive adrenaline rush. In this moment, Midoriya first used a Delaware Smash to blast away his opponent and then followed it up with a Detroit Smash, hence the name Delaware Detroit. The move managed to blast an augmented Muscular who had initially taken a 100% smash with ease straight into a mountain, leaving him embedded in a crater of solid rock. Here is just a few more little tidbits about One for All. The 1,000,000% Delaware Detroit Smash only uses 100% of One for All. Midoriya called it 1,000,000% in an attempt to hype himself up to defeat Muscular. When activating One for All, each of its users goes through a unique transformation. All Might turns into a massive muscular giant when using it. When Midoriya uses it, his veins initially glow bright red until he begins to emit green electricity around his body. When someone passes on One for All, they leave a part of themselves in the quirk. Each user is represented by a different color glowing star. These stars can be seen when Midoriya fights Muscular and when All Might fights No Moon All for One. These remnants can also activate One for All for the user. This can be seen when Midoriya fights Shinzo. He sees silhouettes of the previous One for All users and they activate the quirk for him to help him escape Shinzo's trance. One for All is actually the only quirk that can be used in a one-on-one fight against All for One, as it is the only quirk that cannot be stolen. While there have been 9 users of One for All, we actually know very little about anyone who possessed the quirk other than Midoriya and All Might. In fact, there's still a lot we don't know about the quirk, but hopefully that information will be revealed further down the line. Overall, One for All is an extremely powerful quirk with seemingly endless potential. However, to access that potential, you need to be an extraordinarily driven individual both physically and mentally. Your average everyday person would get little to no benefit from the power due to its life-threatening repercussions. However, for people with supernatural willpower, this is the perfect quirk for them. And that's everything you really need to know about the quirk One for All. Is One for All the dream quirk for you, or is it too much to handle? Let me know in the comments what you think. Personally, I wouldn't like to have One for All. I mean, it's super cool and powerful, but I would probably just blow myself up on first use, or I would accidentally activate it during a handshake and break mine and someone else's arm. In the next video, I plan on analysing Shoto Todoroki's quirk, half cold, half hot. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and maybe even subscribe if you feel like it. But most importantly, remember to go beyond, plus ultra.